Fed Chair Powell faced 2 days of grilling on Capitol Hill. Yesterday, Senator Elizabeth Warren asked why the Fed's inflation forecast is now higher than it was just 6 months ago. Senator Warren joins us this morning. She's the lead Democrat on the Banking Committee. And, Senator, thank you for being with us this morning.
Happy to be with you.
Why don't we get at your line of questioning from yesterday? You were really getting at this idea of where inflation targets for the Fed are headed. What's your thought behind that? What did you think of the answer you got?
So I just want to make sure everyone knows what the numbers were that the Fed put out. The Fed changed its prediction from inflation this year at 2.5% to 3.1%. It changed its prediction on unemployment, not a lot, but from 4.3% to 4.5%. And most significantly, changed its prediction on GDP growth from 2.1 to 1.4. Pretty significant downgrade. So I asked Chairman Powell, what happened? And the answer from Chairman Powell was the Trump tariffs. And I read that as it's the Trump tariffs, it's the Trump chaos. And that's the problem we've got right now. I want to see those interest rates come down, but it's Donald Trump who's standing in the way of getting them down by creating more economic chaos. And how do we know that? Because Chairman Powell said that they would have lowered interest rates back in February, but for the chaos caused by Donald Trump's tariff announcements.
You know, Senator Warren, I understand your concerns around this, and certainly there are a lot of economists who look at this and worry about what happens, the impacts that we have yet to see from the tariffs. They haven't materialized yet. But I don't think you always think that Jay Powell is the expert on these things. I mean, I think back to 2022 when you were very concerned about what Powell was doing at that point, the Federal Reserve raising rates, thinking that, hey, it's an ineffective cure, I think were your words, in terms of higher rates being able to end inflation.
Yep. And that's where I've been all along. I want to see the interest rates come down. And think about why. Because those interest rates come down. If they don't, that means families are paying more on their mortgages, they're paying more on their car loans, they're paying more on their credit cards. Those high interest rates are keeping costs up for families. For 3 years now, I've been pushing to try to get those interest rates down. And Powell now says, I would have lowered them, he said in February, but the Trump chaos has now changed the economic outlook. And the Fed's data do show that the economic outlook has shifted.
I guess my point is, though, you agree with Chairman Powell on these issues, or you think he should go ahead and cut rates anyway? Because that's what the president thinks.
I still want to see the interest rates come down. I think they should lower. I want to see those interest rates come down. I do understand that conditions have changed and that Chair Powell says it is now harder to lower the interest rates than it would have been earlier. It is harder than it would be if Donald Trump were not out there creating this kind of economic chaos. And, you know, I just want to push back when you say there haven't been any effects from Donald Trump's announcements about the tariffs. Of course there have been.
No, I'm sorry, the inflationary. We haven't seen the inflationary effects that people have been predicting pretty widely. We just haven't seen them show up yet.
But what we are seeing is that all across the country, people are saying, whoa, I'm not going to start breaking ground on a new factory. I'm not going to buy a whole lot of expensive new equipment. I'm not going to bring in new workers to train up a workforce for new product lines. I'm not going to start a new business because I can't figure out in the most fundamental way whether or not materials that I have to import are going to be kind of one price or going to have a big tariff put on them. And I can't figure out on things I want to export whether or not there's going to be a reciprocal tariff on them. And as a result, what we get is an enormous amount of holding back. And I think that's why you see the shift in the GDP projections. That's a shrinking of the economy that we're experiencing now, because independently across this country, big companies and small companies are saying, man, I'm not taking a risk. I'm not making a big investment into that kind of an uncertainty. And who is causing all that? One person, Donald Trump.